This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from December 1st to December 3rd of 2023. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series, where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Now, before we start this episode, one quick announcement. We have a new mini-series this week, 2 episodes, and the the Copa America group stage draw, which I guess CONMEBOL is involved, but so is CONCACAF this year. It'll be on Thursday, and we'll do a live watch-along for the group stage draw. I believe it's Thursday night. And by the way, the mini-series, you might want to stay tuned for that, because we're bringing Gerson Perez, the son of Hugo Perez and former assistant coach of El Salvador. He's going to do a breakdown of what they did to hold the US Men's National Team in the matches that El Salvador faced the United States. So he's going to give a bit of a tactical breakdown in regards to that, and talk about more in-depth of the U.S. Men's National Team from a coach's perspective, a professional coach that faced them. Okay? Drop a like before we start this video for absolutely no reason, but just to support the channel. I really don't have a joke for that right now, so let's play the intro, and let's go to the updates. So as always, we start with the top 5 leagues in Europe. The first one being the English Premier League. And we would start with Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest, but, you know, he's been benched. He got no minutes once again, and I have nothing to add to that. So let's skip Matt Turner, and let's go to Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, because he finally played. On Sunday, Chris Richards started and played the full 90 minutes for Crystal Palace during their 1-1 draw with West Ham in the English Premier League. Right away, the good news here is that Chris Richards started and played the entire match, something that hasn't really happened a lot this season, if at all. I wasn't able to watch this match because I was watching Fulham and Balogun at the same time, but I put the game on for a couple minutes to check if Richards was actually playing in the midfield as it was reported by FootMob, and he was. He played on the midfield. He played as one of the double pivots ahead of the center back, so kind of like a 6, a more defensive. I guess in the double pivot, he was the more defensive midfielder right there. So interesting to see that Chris Richards played as a 6 in the Premier League. And based on the FootMob ratings, it looked like Chris Richards had a very good match. But I didn't watch it. So let me know in the comment section down below. If you watched Crystal Palace, how did Richards do as a 6? Next up, we have Austin Trusty and Luca Koeleosho from Burnley, because Sheffield and Burnley clashed over the weekend. Just to make it clear, Austin Trusty plays for Sheffield and Luca Koeleosho plays for Burnley, and they played, as I said, over the weekend. I don't know why I'm repeating myself. On Saturday, Koleosho started for Burnley and played 77 minutes, and Austin Trusty started for Sheffield and played the full 90 minutes. And fellas, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is Burnley won 5-0, with Koleosho scoring their 4th goal. He received the ball in the box more towards the left side. He cut inside and hit a shot with his right foot. It hit the post and went in. That was his first English Premier League goal. Now, the bad news is that Austin Trusty plays for Sheffield as a center back, and they conceded 5 goals. He's part of that defense. Sure, they played man down, but I think it's safe to say this team is actually probably going to get relegated. Trusty ain't staying in the English Premier League next season. And I also don't think Sheffield will actually sell him. So he's going to probably be playing the 2nd Division of England next year. But let's move on from that and go to Americans that actually played very well over the weekend. And they are Antonee Robinson, or Antonee Robinson, and Tim Ream from Fulham. On Sunday, ARob and Ream both started and played the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 4-3 loss to Liverpool at Anfield. So Fulham did have the lead late in the game, but Liverpool was able to pull 2 late goals and win this match. But what really matters is, how did the Americans do? Antonee Robinson had a tremendous performance against Liverpool. He did a fantastic job marking Mo Salah pretty much the entire match. He got an assist, almost scored in a moment in transition. In my opinion, he was the man of the match for Fulham. The second best player on the field, the only one that was better than him was Trent Arnold. Trent Arnold was tremendous for Liverpool. He was the best player on the pitch easily. Now, Tim Ream, he had a fine game. He had a few shaky moments, but again, it's against Liverpool, one of the best teams in the world. The opponent that the defender faces matters, like a lot. So I thought Tim Ream was fine. And I want to add this about ARob. He now has 3 assists in the last 3 English Premier League matches against Aston Villa, Wolves, and Liverpool. In between those Premier League matches, he also played 2 matches for the US men's national team where he got 2 goals and 1 assist. He is probably right now in the best form of his career. I also noticed that he's been getting assists simply by putting in low crosses. When he tries to switch it to a regular cross or a higher cross for a header, they're usually not very good. And that's very smart of ARob to understand his strengths and utilize it to the best of his ability. Just notice how every time ARob tried to put a normal cross, or I'm calling it a normal cross, but just a high cross that someone goes for a header, it's mostly poop. Like, he's not a good crosser in that sense, but his low crosses have been very good. And I think he understood that, and he's just been putting in low crosses and he's been getting assists like that. Didn't he assist even Raul Jimenez before international break? Assisting Raul Jimenez these days, it's almost like a super assist because this guy doesn't score. Lastly, I would talk about Tyler Adams in the Premier League, but he's still injured and he should be back around March. Now let's go to Italy and start with the Milan boys, Pulisic and Yunus Musa. On Saturday, Pulisic and Musa started for Milan during their 3-1 win over Frosinone in the Serie A. I also talked to Pulisic and Musa, and they asked you to hit the like button of this video right now. Like, they really asked that. You just gotta trust me on this one. Well, Musa went the distance by playing the full 90 minutes in this match, and Pulisic was subbed out around the 78th minute after Milan got a 3-0 lead. Now let's talk about their performances. And from the get-go, I just want to say, they were both very, very good. But why don't we break that down? And let's start with Pulisic. That was extremely good. He was aggressive on the ball, looked sharp, and was highly involved in Milan's offense, especially with the absence of Leão and Giroud. But most importantly, he scored a beautiful goal. Milan's second goal was scored by Christian Pulisic. Maina was able to put in a long ball to Pulisic that he took it down with an incredible first touch. He then dribbled all the way to the goal and kept outstanding composure to close it with a clinical finish. It was truly a golazo. And here's the thing, we have seen Pulisic do this enough times to know it ain't luck. His first touch when a team chooses to go route 1 football is tremendous. By route 1 football, I just mean like a long range pass. 3 come to mind right away that ended with beautiful goals. One of them was against Real Madrid in the Champions League semifinals, against Morocco when he was playing for the US men's national team in a friendly back in 2022. This one against Frosinone in the Serie A. For all of these ones, it ended with a goal. He showed composure, pure talent on the first touch. It's happened enough that we can say it's not luck. Pulisic also has 5 goals and 2 assists this season in the Serie A with 800 minutes played. 1 goal contribution every 114 minutes. Those are very good numbers in Italy. However, Pulisic and Milan have struggled in the Champions League. But let's not forget about Yunus Musa. And of course, we're going to talk more about Pulisic because he scored, but Musa was outstanding this match, mainly playing as a central midfielder, but then he switched. Around minute 65, Pioli moved Musa to play as a right midfielder. But in regards to his performance, he won most of his duels, the 50-50 duels. He was good on the ball, fantastic on defense, a very good performance for Yunus Musa. He did not look like a passenger this time, which I often criticize him for. He did hit the post once in the first half, but it didn't really count because he was offsides when that play started, but it was a nice shot. The only thing I want to happen is a Yunus Musa goal. We still need that Yunus Musa Serie A or Milan goal, which still hasn't happened. Still in Italy, let's go to the Americans that play for Juventus, and they are Weston McKennie and Tim Weah. On Friday, McKennie started and played the full 90 minutes for Juventus during their dramatic 2-1 win over Monza in the Serie A. And you know, this dramatic win, some people might call it a winning mentality, some people might call it luck. I call it Allegri's soccer terrorism. That's literally what it is. But just so you know what happened, Monza tied the game at the 91st when Juventus had a 1-0 lead, and then Juve was able to pull a goal right after, around like a minute or two, to get the 3 points. To be fair, Juventus probably should have gotten more goals throughout the match. They played a lot better than Monza, but still, again, they found a way to win and got the 3 points, which is truly what matters. Weston McKennie played well for Juventus, in my personal opinion. He was crucial from a tactical standpoint for Juve. He always is under Allegri. He was fine on the ball, but it felt like his defensive work was what really stood out this match, and how much ground he covered, also how many ground duels he won, aerial duels he won. he was really good for Juventus in my opinion, just not perfect on the ball, didn't have many touches because he's often not involved in the build-out for Juve, which leads to Weston not being as involved on the ball as we would like to see as US men's national team fans. But he works well for what Allegri wants to get out of him for Juventus, which is why he became a locked-in starter for them and a key player this season. As for Tim Weah, he is still injured, but he should be back soon. Now, believe it or not, before we continue, a quick word from our sponsor that you probably remember them from the World Cup, Underdog Fantasy. And thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring Tactical Manager TV. Underdog Fantasy is a fun game to play prior to any soccer match or basketball, or football as well, but we don't talk about those two in Tactical Manager TV. Sometimes basketball during live watch-alongs. I have been playing Underdog Fantasy for over a year now. You can download the app by using the link on the description of this video, and you can also use the promo code TMTV. And Underdog will be matching your first deposit for up to $100. And in the process, you'll be helping the channel avoid bankruptcy. The game I mainly play is called Pick'em. You just click on it, scroll to the soccer section, and pick a player for a specific match and select the stats that you believe will be lower or higher. It's very easy to play, but be smart about your picks because it's not easy to win. I'll be playing some Underdog Fantasy during some match live streams or match live watch-alongs, so stay tuned for that, as I will be forced to cheer for a player or root against him. Now, I am a professional hater, so I'll probably be rooting for the player's downfall. Once again, don't forget to use the promo code TMTV and use the link on the description of this video. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring the channel. All right, we're done with England, Italy, the ad, so we don't go bankrupt. Now let's talk about the players that play in Germany in the Bundesliga, and why don't we start with Gio Reyna from Borussia Dortmund. And again, he sat on the bench the full 90 minutes. I sound like a broken record at this point. Gio Reyna needs a 6-month loan this January. He needs to get consistent minutes and stay healthy. He is healthy right now, but Terzic doesn't rate him. It doesn't matter how he plays. He needs to seek a loan. Even if it's a step down, go to Ajax. I don't know, go to a mid-table Bundesliga side that needs a midfielder. I don't care. He needs to go to a good league and play. But let's move on from Gio right now. Let's go to Brendan Aronson from Union Berlin. And his match against Bayern was postponed this weekend because it snowed a lot. And Bayern called it an extreme snowfall in Munich, while the people in Buffalo, New York, they just call it an average day. No, seriously, if we were in Buffalo, they would have played the match. Next up, we have John Brooks from Hoffenheim against the Gladbach boys, Pifak and Joe Scally, because Gladbach and Hoffenheim clashed over the weekend. On Saturday, Joe Scally started as a right center back in a back three for Gladbach once again, and he played the full 90 minutes for them during their 2-1 win over Hoffenheim. Pifak was not available due to injury, and John Brooks stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Hoffenheim. Next up, we have Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg. On Saturday, Paredes started off the bench again for Wolfsburg during their 3-1 loss to Bochum. Paredes was subbed in the 76th minute when Wolfsburg was down 2-1. Another USMNT young prospect that also played this weekend is Paxton Aronson from Eintracht Frankfurt. On Sunday, Paxton Aronson actually started for Eintracht and was pulled out at halftime during their loss to Augsburg. I don't have to tell you that this is a mix of good and bad news. The good is that he got his first start in the Bundesliga. That is amazing. Tremendous news. The bad news was he got pulled out at halftime, which is a little bit too early in my opinion. But I will say the positive here outweighs the negative. Last but not least, in Germany, we have Leonard Maloney from Heidenheim. On Saturday, Maloney started and played 68 minutes, which is 1 minute short from 69. So I won't be able to say nice. I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed. Okay, so back to the video. He played 68 minutes for Heidenheim during their 2-1 loss to Leipzig. I was able to watch parts of this game, and Maloney had some good defensive moments while marking Xavi Simons, which ain't easy. Again, he's more of a physical hustle merchant with a limited technique, but he's not a bad player. He's just not my type of player. You know, kind of like a breakup. It's not you, it's me. That's what I want to say about Leonard Maloney. He can be useful for the US men's national team, and I believe in certain situations he can and should even play center back for the United States. I think he would actually be a good center back, and he's technical enough to be a ball-playing defender. Oh, I do also need to mention he did get the assist for this match. He flicked the ball off the corner and, his teammate was on the back post and he scored. So Leonard Maloney got an assist. And once again, every time I see U.S. men's national team fans talk about Maloney, I see him being mentioned as a 6 on the 6th depth chart. But I think we should start thinking about him playing as a center back for the United States. I hope Greg tests him as a center back at least. When I look at his skill set, he looks more like a center back to me than a 6, even though he can play at the 6. Kind of like Chris Richards played as a 6 this weekend, but Richards is truly a center back. But we'll see what Greg does. He only tried Maloney at the 6, so I think that's probably where he sees him, and that's also where Heidenheim has been playing him. The next player would have been Luca de la Torre from Celta de Vigo that plays in Spain, but Celta de Vigo plays this Monday and we record every Sunday night. So I got no reports on Luca de la Torre. If you watch the game that Celta de Vigo is playing this Monday, drop it in the comment section. Did de la Torre start? Did he play? How did he do? I do know that Celta de Vigo definitely needs a win because they're in the relegation battle right now. Now let's quickly go to France and talk about Fulham Balogun from Monaco. On Sunday, Balogun started and played 74 minutes for Monaco during their 2-0 win over Montpellier. I thought Balogun had a good game, despite not scoring. He was highly involved on offense, making the right runs, creating goal-scoring opportunities for himself. He just didn't score this time. Now, to be fair, he did score a nice goal where he chipped the goalkeeper with his left foot on a 1v1 situation, but that goal was called offsides. I'll say this. He played better than he did last week against PSG, even though against PSG, he scored a goal. If that makes any sense, right? There's more to it than just scoring goals. Of course, as a center forward, you kind of live or die by the amount of goals you score. But I'm just saying Balogun had a good game this week, a better game than last week, even though he scored against PSG and didn't score anything this weekend. We're done with the top 5 leagues. Now let's go to the Eredivisie in the Netherlands and start the boys that play for PSV, that are Malik Tillman, Serginho Dest, and Ricardo Pepi. On Sunday, Dest started and played the full 90 minutes for PSV during their 2-1 win over Feyenoord in the Eredivisie. Tillman came off the bench around minute 63 and Pepi stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. So this match was at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. I didn't wake up for it, but I consulted Daniel Smith, a friend of the channel and Twitter that I very much trust, along with looking at the stats to back what he said. So here is the report on their performances. Serginho Dest started as a left back, as always, but was moved to the right back position because Teze got injured. Tillman was sent in the match when it was still 0-0 to play as a left winger and to help hold possession and progress the ball forward. Both goals were scored after Tillman came on, like right after he came on. However, he only played a small role in the first goal. Apparently, Tillman did play very well, even though he didn't score or get an assist. He hit a shot on target. He had 4 out of 6 successful dribbling attempts, won all 2 of his tackles. He also did manage to win 7 out of 13 ground duels, which is over 50%. If you look only at his stats, it'll say that Tillman missed a big goal-scoring opportunity, but that's not quite what happened. This is what I heard. It was a very close-range shot that the ball was going out of bounds at the end line. All Tillman could do was try to get the shot on target while keeping it in. The goalkeeper had it covered regardless of what Tillman was able to do, so he got the shot, he did what he could, he did not miss a big goal-scoring opportunity. As for Pepi, he got no minutes, even though his goal during the midweek in the Champions League got PSV to the Champions League round of 16. But again, I said this multiple times, Luuk de Jong is the clear starter, the captain, and it will be like that for the entire season unless he gets injured. I do also want to say that Santi Jimenez did score for Feyenoord. I mean, I hate on the guy constantly, so I might as well give him credit for that. However, he should thank the PSV goalkeeper, Walter Benitez, for doing his best Edward Lettuce Hands moment. It really looked like Edward Lettuce Hands, or actually, well, the actual movie is Edward Scissor Hands, right? But that guy looked like he had lettuce on his hands and not actual human hands. A goal is a goal, but I'm still trying to figure out how that goalkeeper did not save that. Regardless, congratulations, Santi Jimenez, I guess. Still in the Eredivisie, we have Taylor Booth and Jordi Mihailovic because they clashed over the weekend. Taylor Booth plays for Utrecht, Jordi Mihailovic plays for AZ Alkmaar. On Sunday, Mihailovic started and played 88 minutes for AZ Alkmaar during their 1-1 draw with Utrecht. Taylor Booth started off the bench for Utrecht and was subbed in the 85th minute. He did, however, put a nice low cross that his teammate missed a tap-in, which was essentially, a must score, which would have been a game-winning assist for Taylor Booth. As for Mihailovic, his minutes have been trending up and maybe he won't be heading back to MLS this winter. Now we're going to leave Netherlands and go to the United Kingdom or to Great Britain, whatever you want to call it. And I was going to report on Josh Sargent, but there's nothing to report. He's not back yet, but it has been reported that he's expected to be back this month of December within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But since we went to the island already, let's go to Scotland and talk about Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic. On Sunday, Carter-Vickers started and played the full 90 minutes for Celtic during their 3-1 win over St. Johnstone. Carter-Vickers needs a move to actually challenge himself, in my opinion. Playing for Celtic means he's going to get a ton of weak opponents, especially in Scotland, aside from Rangers. Then he goes to the Champions League and just gets beat up 6 matches per season. It's honestly better to just go to a relegation battle team in the Premier League or a mid-table team in maybe Italy, Spain, or Germany. That's just my opinion. I think he's not really challenging himself. He's never going to improve playing in Scotland. I think he peaked in Scotland right now, in my opinion. So we'll see. It seems like he's a bit comfortable there, so maybe he'll just stay with Celtic. And this week, we're going to skip on Belgium and the Italian second division. I know Venezia won, Gianluca Busio got an assist, they're leading the league, but we're going to skip on these players because they don't really play a massive role on the US men's national team at the moment, and they play for lesser leagues. So we'll skip for now. Next week, I'll report on the Belgium league and the Italian second division. Okay? But let's leave Europe real quick and talk about the players that are playing abroad but don't play, in Europe. That's why we're leaving Europe. And we'll start with Johnny Cardoso, the Brazilian-American from Internacional. For now, because he's going to Real Betis. On Saturday, Johnny was not available due to injury. Internacional has one more match left in the Brazilian League, and Johnny might have played his last match for them already. He's not expected to play the last game against Botafogo. Maybe he'll get a few minutes just to say goodbye because he's expected to head to Spain this January and join Real Betis. Last but not least, we have Alejandro Zendejas from Club America. On Saturday, Zendejas started and played 79 minutes for Club America during their 2-0 win over Club León. With this win, Club America has advanced to the semifinals of the Liga MX Apertura. Right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget that we have a tremendous mini-series coming this week with Gerson Perez, and we have the live watch-along of the 2024 Copa America group stage draw. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Drop a like before you go. Drop a random comment if you made this far in the video. Thanks for watching and have a great day.